Hi there. Welcome to Kugrammar. Here, you'll find simple and engaging English stories designed to help you improve your listening skills. Whether you're a beginner or just looking to practice, my stories will help you learn naturally. So sit back, listen, and enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe for more. A boy finds a talking parrot that tells jokes. Chapter 1: The Strange Bird. One sunny afternoon, a young boy named Tom was walking through the park near his home. Tom loved walking, especially when the weather was nice. He often took his time, enjoying the fresh air and the sounds of birds singing. On this particular day, as he walked along a path near the trees, he heard a strange sound. It wasn't like the usual bird songs. It sounded more like someone laughing. Tom looked around. "Is someone there?" he asked. To his surprise, he saw a colorful bird sitting on a branch. It was a parrot. The parrot looked at him with bright, curious eyes. Tom was amazed because he had never seen such a beautiful bird before. Its feathers were a mix of green, red, and yellow. The parrot squawked. "Why did the chicken cross the road?" Tom was startled. "Did you just talk?" he asked, blinking his eyes in disbelief. The parrot blinked back at him. "Of course, I talk. I'm a parrot," it said with a grin. Tom couldn't believe it. He had never heard of a talking parrot before. What did you say about the chicken?" The parrot puffed out its chest proudly. "Why did the chicken cross the road?" "To get to the other side," it said with a loud laugh. Tom laughed too. The joke was simple, but it was funny. "You're a funny bird," Tom said, still giggling. "Thank you," the parrot replied, its feathers fluffing up with pride. "I've got lots more jokes. Want to hear another one?" Tom was curious now. He had to admit he had never met a talking bird who told jokes. "Sure. Tell me another one," he said. The parrot didn't waste any time. "Why don't skeletons fight each other?" Tom scratched his head. "I don't know." "Why?" "Because they don't have the guts," the parrot cawed, laughing loudly. Tom couldn't stop laughing. "You're amazing," he said, wiping a tear from his eye. The parrot puffed up even more. "I know. I'm the funniest bird around." Tom felt like he had made a new friend. He had never heard such silly jokes before, and he loved the way the parrot made him laugh. "What's your name?" he asked. The parrot thought for a moment. "I don't really have a name. But you can call me Jokes." "It's perfect, don't you think?" the parrot said, hopping around on its branch. Tom smiled. "Jokes is a great name for you." He decided to visit the park every day to see Jokes. Every time, the parrot would tell him more funny jokes. Tom found himself looking forward to their talks. He couldn't wait to hear what Jokes would say next. But there was one thing that bothered him. Why did the parrot know so many jokes? And how did it learn to talk? He decided to keep visiting Jokes and maybe ask him someday. Chapter 2: The Mystery of Jokes. Tom was excited to visit the park again. He had woken up early, eaten his breakfast quickly, and rushed out the door to meet his new friend, Jokes the parrot. As he arrived at the park, he spotted Jokes sitting on the same tree branch as before. The parrot looked even more colorful in the morning light, its feathers glowing in the sun. "Hey, Jokes!" Tom called out with a big smile. Jokes looked down and squawked, "What's big, green, and eats rocks?" Tom raised an eyebrow. "I don't know, what?" "A dinosaur with a stomach ache." Jokes laughed. Tom chuckled. "You never stop with the jokes, do you?" "Of course not. That's my job," Jokes said proudly, puffing out his chest. Tom sat down on the grass beneath the tree. "I've been thinking, how did you learn all these jokes?" he asked, his voice full of curiosity. Jokes stopped for a moment. He tilted his head to one side and blinked. That's a good question," the parrot said slowly. Tom waited for an answer. He had wondered this for days. After all, parrots didn't just learn jokes on their own, did they? "Well," Jokes said, "I've been around for a long time. I've lived in this park for many years. People come and go, and sometimes they tell me jokes. I listen carefully, and then I remember them. That's how I learned." Tom thought about that. "So, you hear people's jokes and just remember them?" "Exactly," Jokes chirped. "And I make them better too. I add my own twist to each joke." Tom smiled. "That's really cool. You must be very smart." Jokes fluffed his feathers proudly. "Of course. Who else could tell jokes like me?" Tom laughed. "You're right. No one else is like you." But as they chatted, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that something was strange about Jokes. Parrots were known for copying sounds and words, but they didn't usually tell jokes like this. Tom wondered if there was more to Jokes' story. "I've got another joke for you," Jokes said, breaking Tom's thoughts. "Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees?" Tom raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Because they're really, really good at it." Jokes laughed loudly. Tom laughed too, but in the back of his mind, he kept wondering, how did Jokes learn to tell jokes so well? There had to be more to this parrot than met the eye. Chapter 3: The Parrot's Secret. The next day, Tom was eager to see Jokes again. He had spent the night thinking about the parrot's strange ability to tell jokes. It seemed like there was something special about Jokes, and Tom wanted to learn more. When Tom arrived at the park, he found Jokes sitting on his usual tree branch. The parrot was humming a little tune and seemed to be in a good mood. "Hi, Jokes," Tom called out. Jokes turned his head quickly, eyes sparkling. "Hey, Tom. You ready for another joke?" Tom smiled, but then remembered the questions he still had. "Sure. But first, I have something I want to ask you." Jokes tilted his head. "What's on your mind?" Tom took a deep breath. "Well, I've been thinking. You're not like other parrots. You can tell jokes, but how do you know so many? Parrots usually repeat words they hear, but you actually tell stories and make people laugh. It's kind of amazing." Jokes looked at Tom for a moment. The parrot didn't answer right away. He seemed to be deep in thought. Finally, Jokes sighed. "All right, I'll tell you the truth, Tom. There's something about me that you don't know." Tom's eyes widened. "What do you mean? What's the secret?" Jokes leaned forward and whispered, "I wasn't always just a regular parrot. I used to be a normal bird, just like all the others. But one day, something strange happened. Tom sat up, curious. What happened? Jokes looked around to make sure no one was listening. I met a magician, he said in a low voice. He was a kind man, but he had a funny way of doing things. He saw me one day and decided I needed to have a gift. So, he gave me the ability to talk and tell jokes. Tom was amazed. A magician? That sounds incredible. Jokes nodded. It was. But it wasn't all fun and games. The magician told me that with great power comes great responsibility. I was given the gift to bring joy to people, but I had to use it wisely. I couldn't just tell jokes all the time. I had to make sure the jokes helped people smile when they needed it most. Tom thought about this. So, you tell jokes to make people happy? Jokes smiled. Exactly. That's my purpose. That's why I'm here in this park. I watch people as they walk by, and when I see someone who looks sad or lonely, I try to cheer them up with a joke. Tom felt a little bit surprised. I never knew there was such a big reason behind your jokes. The parrot nodded. There's always more to people, or birds, than you might think. Everyone has a story to tell. You just have to listen. Tom was silent for a moment, thinking about what Jokes had said. He felt lucky to have met such a special bird. Jokes wasn't just funny, he had a purpose. And that made Tom want to help him even more. I'm glad I met you, Jokes, Tom said sincerely. I'll keep your secret. Jokes grinned. Thank you, Tom. I knew I could count on you. Tom smiled. I'm excited to hear more of your jokes. They make me laugh every time. Jokes puffed his chest out proudly. You'll never hear the same joke twice, Tom. I've got an endless supply. Tom sat back and waited. He knew that Jokes always had a funny story up his sleeve. But now, as he listened, he also knew that there was a deeper story behind each joke. All right, Jokes said, ready to share another laugh. Why don't eggs tell jokes? Tom thought for a moment. I don't know. Why? Because they might crack up. Jokes laughed. Tom laughed too. But as he laughed, he remembered what Jokes had shared. This wasn't just a parrot telling silly jokes. This was a parrot with a gift, a purpose, and a secret. Chapter 4: Trouble in the Park. The next few days passed quickly. Tom continued to visit Jokes every afternoon. The parrot kept telling him more jokes, and Tom couldn't help but laugh every time. But one afternoon, something happened that made Tom worried. When Tom arrived at the park, he couldn't find Jokes. He searched the trees, looking up and down the path, but there was no sign of the parrot. Tom's heart began to race. He walked around the park, calling out for Jokes. Jokes! Where are you? Tom shouted. There was no answer. Tom felt a bit scared. He didn't know why Jokes was missing, but he knew that something wasn't right. Tom sat on a bench and waited. He hoped Jokes would appear soon. As the minutes passed, Tom grew more and more anxious. He didn't like the feeling of not knowing where his friend was. Finally, after what seemed like forever, Tom heard a faint squawk. Tom! Over here! Tom turned around and saw Jokes flying toward him, landing gently on the bench beside him. Jokes. Where have you been? I was so worried, Tom exclaimed, his voice full of relief. Jokes looked a little sad. I'm sorry, Tom. I didn't mean to worry you. Something happened today. What happened? Tom asked, concerned. There's a man in the park, Jokes said quietly. He's been watching me for a few days now. He's trying to catch me. I think he wants to take me away. Tom's eyes widened. Why? Why would anyone want to take you? Jokes fluttered his wings nervously. I don't know. Maybe because I can talk. Maybe because I'm special. But I don't want to be caught. I don't want to lose my freedom. Tom felt angry. We can't let him take you. You're my friend, Jokes. You've helped so many people with your jokes. You can't be taken away. Jokes looked at Tom, grateful for his support. I knew you would understand. That's why I've been hiding from him. Tom thought for a moment. He knew he couldn't let this man take Jokes. He had to come up with a plan to keep his friend safe. Chapter 5: The Escape. Tom knew that he had to act fast. He couldn't let the man catch Jokes. He stood up and turned to the parrot. Don't worry, Jokes. We'll come up with a plan, he said confidently. Jokes looked at Tom, his eyes full of trust. I believe in you, Tom. Tom thought about it for a moment. He had an idea. I think we should move quickly. You fly away when I make a distraction. I'll talk to the man and keep him busy while you get away. Jokes nodded. That sounds like a good plan. Tom and Jokes waited for a while, watching for the man. Soon, they saw him walking through the park, looking around suspiciously. He was searching for Jokes. This is our chance, Tom whispered. Jokes gave a quick nod and flew off into the trees. As the man got closer, Tom stepped out in front of him. Hey! What are you doing here? Tom asked, trying to sound brave. The man looked surprised. I'm just looking for my parrot. Have you seen him? He asked. Tom pretended to think. I haven't seen any parrot around here. Are you sure you're looking in the right place? The man frowned. I'm sure he's around here somewhere. He's a special parrot. He can talk. Tom's heart skipped a beat, but he kept his cool. Sorry, I haven't seen him. As the man walked away, Tom watched to make sure Jokes was safe. After a few minutes, he saw the parrot fly back toward him. We did it! Jokes exclaimed, landing on the bench. Tom smiled. We're safe, for now. Jokes looked at Tom, grateful. Thank you, Tom. You saved me. I couldn't have done it without you. Tom nodded. We're friends, Jokes. And friends always look out for each other. Want to listen more? Please subscribe.